Let's talk about an industry which, if you play your cards right, might be bringing you back home over $200,000 a year. And the beauty of it is that it's not really that complicated, it's very new, and if you follow this series of videos that I'll be creating now, you will know everything that you need to know to actually apply for a job and get a position in prompt engineering. In today's video, we're going to be answering the questions of what prompt engineering is, why it's so important nowadays, and we'll look at one very simple technique that lives under the umbrella term of prompt engineering. And if you've ever used ChatGPT, you'll be very surprised to notice that you've actually been using that technique all along. At least I'm 99.9% confident that you have. So let's jump right into it. And before we actually even answer the question of what prompt engineering is, let's have a look at what a prompt is. And it's very simple. It's basically a string of text which you send over to a large language model such as ChatGPT with a question or a task. So to make things easier, it's just a question that you're asking ChatGPT when you're talking to it. That's a prompt. An example of a prompt might be something as simple as who's the president of the US right now, or what's the weather in Arizona. Now, prompt engineering is the art of perfecting those prompts, making sure that they're as reliable, as precise, and safe as possible. Now, we'll talk about the safety in just a little bit, but first, let's have a look at a real-life example of prompt engineering. Let's assume that we're trying to get ChatGPT to tell us what to cook for dinner tonight. So, a simple way to do that would be just to ask, what shall I have for dinner? The problem with that prompt is that it's very generic, and it means that it could come back with a number of different responses, and they would all technically be correct. So, it could come back with an actual recipe for dinner, or a list of example dinners that you might want to have, or it could ask you follow-up questions about what you actually want for dinner. And in our example, it responds with, that depends on your preferences and what ingredients you have available, blah, blah, blah. All right? So let's be a bit more specific so that we can narrow down the actual response. So from now on, assume the role of a dietitian with many years of experience. Please give me a list of 5 choices for a healthy dinner, rich in protein, low in carbs, and gluten-free. Just an example, doesn't mean we need to have this kind of dinner, but this really narrows down what kind of response we're gonna get. Because with every time, we should be expecting 5 choices of a healthy dinner. And we also assume the role, which will make ChatGPT or whatever language model you're using a bit more strict about the kind of answer, narrowing down the knowledge base that it's using to give us that from a list of different recipes that it knows. And in fact, it does give us a list of 5 different recipes for dinner. However, it doesn't give us the ingredients. So we probably will need to keep on working on that prompt so that it actually gives us perfect responses every single time we try it. So basically, the role of a prompt engineer is someone who creates new prompts, fixes existing ones, makes sure that they work in an optimal fashion, and at the same time are reliable and safe, both for the user and the company that they are creating those prompts for. And to explain why safety is so important, well, a couple of months ago, Chevrolet from the US decided to create a chatbot based on ChatGPT. And somebody managed to hack it, actually using a lot of different prompt engineering skills to make the chatbot sell him a car for $1. So a prompt engineer will have to make sure that the system is safe from those kind of hacks and attacks. And now, why is prompt engineering so important? Well, I think we live in the time where AI and ChatGPT and all those other different tools like DALL-E and Gemini are rising up, and we need to start learning how to use them to optimize our work, if we just want to use it for work, or learn all those techniques and do our best to actually become a prompt engineer, which really sounds like a lucrative career. I've seen job offers ranging up to $350,000, I think at Bloomberg or one of the bigger banks like Citibank. All right, now let's move on to the actual technique that I promised I would teach you. And again, I feel like you probably know this technique if you've ever used ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those before. And what we're talking about here is zero-shot prompting. A shot in this context means an example. So zero shot means zero example. So when creating a prompt, we're basically not giving any examples of the use case that we're trying to ask the model about. So in the example before, for instance, we were already actually using zero-shot prompting. We asked for a list of recipes, but we didn't actually give any examples of what the output would have been. We assume that ChatGPT or again, whatever tool we're using, will deduce from the prompt what we actually want. And in this case, it did a pretty good job of it, but it could always be perfected. Another example of zero-shot prompting would be something as simple as asking ChatGPT what is the capital of Japan. And it will know that the capital is Tokyo because it's taught on a massive amount of data from the internet and other sources. Here's another one. Tell me the plot of the first Harry Potter book. And again, it tells us all about the Philosopher's Stone and what it's about and who were the protagonists and who were the enemies, all that kind of stuff. It knows this because it's taught on a massive amount of data. Then, what is the best car to buy right now? And we get a list of cars that would be the best ones to buy. Although I was kind of expecting that it would ask me follow-up questions about what size and engine type, etc. But it does come back with an answer. Probably for this case, zero-shot prompting wouldn't be the best idea because it doesn't know anything about me, and so it probably won't give me the best advice. So zero-shot prompting will work if you're asking about simple tasks, about general knowledge, about exploring a certain topic, or if you want to give your model some very specific instructions. However, it won't be great at solving complex problems which require very specific knowledge. For that, we'll need to use different prompting techniques, which we'll learn about in the next couple of lessons. If you think about it, zero-shot prompting is kind of like talking to a human being. So, if you want to ask a regular random person in the street what the capital of England is, they'll probably know it's London because it's general knowledge. Same as asking them any research kind of questions. Depending on how knowledgeable they are, they'll be able to answer those questions because this is knowledge that they've obtained from a database of information, same as ChatGPT does. However, if you ask a random person in the street something like create a board game, well, that is a bit more of a complex question because the average human being has never built a board game. So as much as they've played board games and they have a little bit of experience by knowing what different board games they are and what artworks they have, they will have trouble creating a brand new board game because they don't have experience. So it's a similar situation with ChatGPT. If you ask it for a complex task, it will try and meld together all the knowledge that it has around the topic, but it might fail in delivering an actual result. And that's when we'll need to bring in the big guns and use a bit more advanced techniques to solve those kind of queries. But at this point, we know what prompt engineering is. We know one technique, and again, if you've ever used ChatGPT before, you probably have used it before, and hence you are a junior prompt engineer. So congratulations, and I'll see you next time when we discuss one-shot and few-shot prompting, which closely relates to zero-shot prompting that we've talked about today. So I'll see you then, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.